be rolling, I like it like this. Then I like it like this. I be rolling, I like it like this. I be rolling, I be rolling, I be rolling, I like it like this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Session. My name is these motherfucking crows. Fuck it, who cares? My name is Sherif Khairy. And joining me for the first time ever in Session history is the beansprout herself, my girlfriend, Julie. Julie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fucking swell. Welcome back to fucking Session, everybody. I'm sorry that it's been a long time. Blame Julie because she gets pissed off when I put out a Nexvady video. So just put all your anger, push it towards her. Alhamdulillah. Julie, welcome to Session. Why are you looking at me like you want to slap me?
Because that's not true.
What's not true?
What you just said.
So today's topic is actually really important, Julie. We're going to be discussing meeting the parents, our parents specifically, if you haven't noticed. Julie.
Who else's parents?
It could be Jesus' parents. It could be Brian's. It could be Ian's. It could be a lot of people's motherfucking parents. For those of you that don't know, which is probably a lot of you, Julie and I are about to hit our 4-year anniversary. So let's high five to that, Julie. Who knows when oh my God, who knows when this episode's coming out? But our anniversary is. You want to tell them, Julie?
12/12.
12/12/18, bless up. So by the time this episode comes out, we might have already celebrated it. And sorry that you weren't a part of the fucking party. You know what I'm saying? So, Julie, we're going to start with your story about meeting my parents first. Yours takes place during my college graduation when I'm about to graduate. And Julie, just set the scene, tell the people how you've been feeling. Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you like not looking forward to seeing my fucking parents? Because that's fine too. You can do it. I believe in you.
Well, you yelled at me before this podcast to not say anything, and now
I haven't. Well, full transparency, I have a notebook here. I got some notes written down, Julie. So if you stumble, I can remind you on a few things too. So that's all well and swell. Yo, why you like that? You are slappy. All right, well, let's set the scene. I'm about to graduate. You're going to meet my parents for the first time. You're going to meet Omer for the first time. God bless. Why don't you tell them about your first interaction with Omer? How did that go for you?
Not great.
And why is that?
So Sherif and I started dating before the end of first semester, his senior year. So winter break was kind of our first little test of what it would be like if we were long distance. So we were FaceTiming a lot and things were going really well.
And then Omer walked in the room.
I don't think it was the first time we were FaceTiming. I don't really remember when it happened, but we were FaceTiming and Omer must have been home because Sherif was like, "Oh, Omer, this is my girlfriend, Julie. Julie, this is my brother, Omer." And we said hi and whatever. And I think because I was at home at my parents' house, my childhood dog's name is Moose. And I think my dog Moose barked in the background. And Sherif was like, "Aw, is that Moose?" And I was like, "Yep, that's him." And Omer was like, "Oh, who's Moose?" And I was like, "Oh, Moose is my dog." And he asked me how old Moose was. And I told him he's 10 years old. And Omer's response to that is, "Oh, Moose is going to die soon then."
I just remember I looked at him and I was like, please take it back. For the love of Allah, take back what you just said.
There's no taking that back.
But it was just like an awkward silence. And I looked at Omer, he looked at me, and I looked back at my phone and Julie was looking at me. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. So ultimately, that FaceTime ends with Julie hanging up because Omer said some other dumb shit. Omer's an idiot, I'm an idiot. That's just how it goes. She ended up hanging up that night. And I fought with Omer that night, just some brotherly love. Well, yeah, I cursed him out. He cursed me out. It's fine. So anyways, going into graduation, Julie's nervous because she thinks her and Omer have beef. And Omer thinks Julie fucking hates him. So
I didn't think we had beef. I just wasn't looking forward to meeting him in person.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm prepping Julie on how she's going to greet Omer. And we start doing this thing where I tell her, you got to dab him up. Like just straight up Staten Island style, because she didn't know if she should hug him, shake his hand, or what she got to do. So I told her, dab my boy up. That's how he'll know you're a real one and a fucking gangster. So if he messes with you again, it's on sight. So Julie's over here practicing with my roommates and me on how to dab someone up. And I'm teaching her she's got to do the finger hug towards the end. You got to make the nice little clup sound. You know, all the cool stuff that makes a dab.
Sound?
The little clup.
The clup?
The little clup.
It's a clap.
No, it's a little clup. So I'm teaching her how to dab someone up. And finally, graduation day hits. My parents are in the fucking hotel. My mom's up my ass. She's like, I want to meet Julie. And I want to see you. And I'm like, all right. So Julie and I drive to the hotel that my parents are in. Mind you, it was a small-ass hotel, Julie. You remember that. It was like, what, maybe a 2-bedroom thing they got going on? And my family's big. We had like at least...
You guys were like all in one bedroom together.
Yeah, it was very small. My dad's poor, bless up. So we drive to this hotel. Julie meets my family, but before she meets any of them, Omer tells me, I'm going to come down and greet you guys. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Omer's walking down. Now, Julie's been practicing how to dab someone for months now. And she finally gets to see Omer walk down the hallway. And Julie, why don't you tell them what you end up fucking doing?
I panicked.
And what did you do?
I hugged him.
She fucked up the whole fucking vibes. After months and weeks of prepping her to dab someone up, she hugs Omer. And it was the most awkward shit I've seen in my entire life.
He was so bony.
Yeah, you skinny as fuck. So she hugs Omer awkwardly as hell. Before, actually, Omer went in to shake your hand. And you fucked it up. And you went to hug him. And Omer looked at me. He's like, this bitch good? I'm like, I don't fucking know. She hugs Omer. And then she meets the rest of my family. How was it when you met the rest of them?
It was a lot. Hanny was probably the most normal.
That's fucked up.
Just stood up, shook my hand. Delia was doing the little kid being really shy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your mom immediately took me outside and took a bunch of pictures with me and posted them all on Facebook in a 20-minute period. And then your dad sat in the recliner and just interviewed me about my future career prospects.
Yeah, my dad gave her the full Arab dad interview and starts asking her, what's your career? What's your plan in 5 years? How much do you make? What's your starting salary? All this bullshit. I'm like, my dad, I look at him like, you gotta calm down. You gotta calm the fuck down. This isn't a job interview. And then later that night, Omer's talking to me and he goes, yo, does Julie fucking hate me? And I go, wait, why? And he describes the hug as one of the most awkward moments of his life, which he was right. It was very awkward.
Also one of the worst moments of my life.
So the beef is there. So he goes, because when she hugged me, it seemed like she wanted no part of that. She didn't want to touch me. She didn't want to look at me or anything. I was like, oh yeah, she did it. The plan was for her to dab you up, but she fucked it up. And he starts laughing. He's like, why the fuck didn't she dab me then? I go, I don't know. She fucking panicked. So good job, Julie.
I just realized a little side story we should add into this.
Go ahead.
Am I allowed to do that? Yeah. I think it was the night after your graduation. Because you graduated on a Saturday or a Sunday?
I think it was a Saturday. You might be right.
So Sunday night, your parents wanted to take us out to dinner.
Oh my fucking God.
And I thought it was so interesting because I was like, there's a lot of good restaurants where we live. And Sherif's family's Arabic. So I guess I thought they'd want to do something like a cuisine that they don't have as often. But no, they wanted to do Arabic food. So
it's because my dad wanted to introduce you to Arabic food. That's why.
So your dad wanted to quote unquote introduce me to Arabic food. So there's this one restaurant we're initially looking into, and they're driving and we're driving separately, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I think it's like your family gets there first and they realize the inside's really small, which I wouldn't have had a problem with. But then they were like, no, let's go to this other place. This place was basically like a deli.
It was literally a fucking deli. I looked at my dad, I was like, this is not a restaurant, dude.
It was a deli with a couple of tables in the corner, and we pushed the tables together.
It was so ghetto.
And we got, don't say that. We got food from there. And for context, I'm vegetarian, so there's a lot of like meat-based Egyptian dishes that I can't eat. So,
but there's also a lot of vegetarian options.
There are, but I guess my point is like your mom suggested stuffed grape leaves because she was like, "Oh, everyone likes stuffed grape leaves. You should get those." And they show up and they're like cold and
they were
slimy.
Clearly out of a can.
So yeah, I didn't realize you could get cans stuffed grape leaves, but your mom looked so disappointed. She was like, "Oh, like they're supposed to be served warm."
Hold on. I just remember when they brought out your grape leaves, me handing over a look at your dish, and then we look at each other like, "Oh, she get fucked." We start looking down, and we're like, "Oh, fuck."
And then your mom, I think she saw that I wasn't a huge fan of the grape leaves because stuffed grape leaves are really good. By the way,
they aight.
Sherif's not a huge fan of them.
They aight.
But I've had actual warm ones and I like them, but I think your mom could tell I wasn't into it, so she was like, "Oh, let's get this dessert. There's this like,
it's called kunefa."
Okay, so it's like a sweet dessert cheese, right?
Yeah.
And I think normally it looks more like brownish, maybe.
It's more like a golden
coating,
color.
yes, a golden.
And this one came out a bit more orange, which isn't like, I've seen them like in an orange color, but most of the ones, at least the ones that my mom made, were more of a golden color.
It looked like someone brought out a weirdly sized little rectangle of cheese, and the only way I can describe the outside coating is if you took like cheese puffs and you shrunk them down really, really, really small, like that orange color.
It was like cold. The cheese wasn't stretchy. It wasn't warm.
Is it supposed to be warm?
It's supposed to be warm. Cheese is gooey.
Are you supposed to like take crackers and spread the cheese on the crackers?
No, like you can just, like I used a fork and I would cut through it. Then just straight up eat it. It's supposed to be warm. Cheese stretches. This motherfucker was dead on arrival. It came out looking like it just went through fucking World War II, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, and your parents were just very like, "Oh, we'll introduce you to Arabic food," and all night I was just like, "Oh, this is so good." And Sherif and I drove Sherif back to my apartment because he was leaving the next day for our first period of like real long-term distance. So we wanted to like spend as much time together. And I have a video saved somewhere of you trying the stuffed grape leaves, and you just spit it out.
It was fucking disgusting. It was really fucking bad. I looked at it, I was like, I remember when you pulled into the driveway, I looked at him like, is this just a fucking deli? And God bless the Arab man, is like, hello, thank you for coming. Takes us to the back, and like, this motherfucker just took us to a dark corner and gave us 2 fucking tables, and my big ass family's just sitting looking at each other so awkwardly.
Because it was a deli, there was like no background sound that you get with a restaurant. There was no music. There were no other people there either. It was just us. And I had just met Sherif's family. So we were just sitting there in silence.
It was so bad. I feel really bad because me, Omar, and Hedy looked at you and we were like, this girl's so uncomfortable. She needs to go. And when your food came out, we just saw you eat the food and it looked so disgusted. I'm so sorry. Dad, what the fuck, Dad? You had one fucking job. Motherfucker brings us to the Middle Eastern deli. Okay, on to my story. So a couple things I want to highlight before I get to this story. One, Julie's parents fucking love me.
I think I should tell this story because you basically told my story.
No, hold on. We'll go back and forth because that's a good idea. But just for the audience here, I want to set the premise because this story is really bad on my end, not Julie's parents. And Julie's parents adore me. That's true. They love me more than Julie, if I'm being honest. And I lived with them actually for 2 years during COVID. I really got, I'll be honest with you, Everyone, I really got a fart, but I'm holding it in just for this fucking
Why don't
podcast.
you just take a moment, let it out?
No, I
and then edit
can't.
it?
No, Jesus won't save that. I can't. So anyways,
Why don't you step out, go fart in the other room, and I'll intro this story for you?
well, I just did the silent fart thing, so.
Sherif,
What?
just go in the other room.
I already did it. I already tweeted. It's too late for you. Anyways, yeah, I've lived with them for 2 years. They love me. I love them. They're the sweetest people ever. Now, on to the fucking story. So, it's senior year. We're going into Thanksgiving break. I think this was actually our first early test of long distance, wouldn't you say?
I mean, it was like 3 days. I wouldn't call it long distance.
Well, it was hell for me. Anyways, senior year, I knew this guy from one of my classes. His name was Fernando. He was fucking weird as shit. Like this kid,
He was very nice.
he was very
Weird
nice.
stuff.
Yeah, so I guess like the biggest example was one time where we all planned on going out to this bar with a couple of our friends. He lied about his age for some reason.
Yeah, it was one thing, like he had a fake ID, but he didn't tell any of us that he wasn't.
Well, it
21.
wasn't a fake ID. It was his brother's ID. But like, I was just like, why wouldn't you just tell us you're not 21? Like, it's all good. We could have done something else. We could have gone to a bowling alley. Like, no one was going to be offended that you weren't 21.
And then he got rejected from the bar, and it was really awkward because we were all already inside.
Yeah, so like, he just got kicked out of the bar. And we were like, well, do we chase after him? And he goes, no, it's fine. I'll just go hang out with my other friends. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's just a little example. But anyways, I don't know why this motherfucker felt the need to lie about his age, but he did. God bless. I don't talk to this kid anymore. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope you're doing well, Fernando. Anyways, going into Thanksgiving break, usually what I do is take the bus from Buffalo to New York. If you guys know, you know. What the fuck? The phone your tablet didn't go in silent mode, Julie. I just want you to know that. Anyways, the bus ride from Buffalo to New York is 8 hours. It's hell on earth. It's so long. It's so boring. I hate it. Fernando goes up to me and he's like, yo, I live in so-and-so, and I can actually drive you to New York. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because one, I saved money. And two, it's just a better experience, or so I thought. I go to my roommate, Tom, at the time, who also lived with, he didn't live with him. He was also where Fernando was from. And I let him know, like, hey, this guy's offering to drive us if you're down. And Tom goes, fuck yeah. So we just figured, all right, we'll pitch in for gas and it'll all be good. We're on the motherfucking road. And mind you, when our drive from Buffalo to New York, we kind of passed the city Julie's in. So we're driving on the road, and all of a sudden I hear something with Fernando's car. I'm like, what is that? And Fernando goes, oh, don't worry, my car's just dying. Look at Saul. I was like, there ain't no fucking way he just said that. Fernando pulls over on the highway, opens the what the fuck? Why can't I think of it? The front thing of a car.
Like he popped the hood?
Yes, he popped the hood. Thank you, Julie. God bless you. Mind you, it's freezing cold. It's snowing.
It was a really, I hope people realize that, like, there's New York City winter and then there's, like, upstate New York winter. I don't know where most of your viewers are based, but upstate New York winter is, like, a different, different ballgame.
It was cold.
It was, like, a record cold Thanksgiving. Usually we don't get super cold anymore until, like, honestly, a little after Christmas. But for some reason, this Thanksgiving was anywhere from, like 30 degrees during the day, and then at night it would get down to like 5 to 10 degrees.
Oh yeah, it was horrible. So we're in the car. Fernando's popping his hood, checking the engine and all that, and he's like, yep, my car's dead.
And the car's dead, right? So you had no heat.
Oh yeah,
like
it was
sitting in
no heat, nothing. So I'm like, well, shit. Fernando starts calling AAA. Tom and I go right into the trunk, grab some jackets, grab some gloves. I'm like, well, if we're gonna be here for a while, I gotta bundle my shit up. Finally, AAA comes. It can't start Fernando's car, but it tows us to like this thing where there was
tiny little strip mall.
Yeah, it had like a Chinese restaurant and a Dollar General, and that was it. So the tow truck brings us there, drops us off, tries to start the car. Meanwhile, it's getting colder and colder. Luckily, there was a fucking Dollar General. So what do? Tom and I go to this Dollar General. And you think we were smart. You think we would just go in one time, grab the things we need, and go back into Fernando's car. No, we're fucking stupid. Tom and I go back and forth. This poor employee sees us like at least a good 10 times. And we go in, we grab snacks, we leave. We come back, we grab gloves, we leave. We come back, we grab a fucking scarf and beanie, and we leave. And this employee like looks at us and she's like, "Are you guys good?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're just stranded." And she goes, "Oh, okay. Do you need me to call anyone?" I was like, "No, AAA's outside." She's like, "Okay." So Fernando's still talking with the AAA guy. He's telling him we can't start his car. So he's straight up, Tom and I are in the car when he tells Fernando this. He looks at Fernando and he's like, "Hey, if you want, I can't fit you guys all in my truck, but you can come with me." He's talking to Fernando, "and you can leave your friends here." And Tom and I look at this motherfucker. I'm like, "What?" First of all, Fernando, don't do that. You'll fucking die. Second of all, you good? We're not going to be stranded out here in the cold. And Fernando said, "No, thank you. It's all good." And proceeds to call his sister. His sister is 6 hours away from us. So we're like, holy shit. Finally, we realize we're in an area where we have friends nearby. And AKA, I realize Julie's nearby because Julie's texting me throughout all this. And she lets me know that you're what, like 10 minutes away?
Literally, like barely over 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I knew this. But I refused to do that. So Tom and I and Fernando, we go to a Chinese restaurant, we stuff ourselves. And meanwhile, I'm texting people that I know in the area. And they're all in the area we need. They're pretty close by, but they're all fucking busy because it's almost Thanksgiving.
Busy except one person.
Yeah, everyone's busy except Julie. So I'm like, shit. I tell Tom and let him know, like, oh, these people are busy. And Julie starts texting me. What is it, Julie? What would you like to say?
I was just saying, like, can I start to tell my portion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so now we're shifting to my perspective. So I'm texting Sherif throughout the day. I get a text saying that his car is broken down. And so I'm texting him throughout, and I find out where they are, and it's literally like a 12-minute drive from my house. Like, I was like, it's not even in the city. Like, it would be so easy for me to come get you guys. And he kept saying no, which
because I didn't want to meet her parents.
He kept being like, "No, we're okay. No, it's fine." And so this went on for a couple hours. And then finally, Sherif caved and he was like, "Okay, you can come and get us."
And finally, when I caved in, it was because Tom literally grabbed me and said, "Please call Julie. Please just tell her, I know you don't want to be your parents, God bless, but we gotta survive." I was like, "Fine, fuck it."
So they send me their location. I go to pick them up. They get in my car. I should say, before they get in my car, I'm pulling into the parking lot and I'm texting them saying like, "Oh, I'm here." And I see Tom walking out of the restaurant, just hands in the air, praising to God. He
starts praising to Allah.
So they get in my car, driving back. And this is another example of Fernando being like nice, but just kind of weird. We're pulling into my driveway and Fernando steps out of my car and I see that he has a beer in his hand and he's like, "Oh, it's fine if I just drink this in your parents' house, right?" And I was like, "No."
So he starts chugging it before we go into Julie's house. And we're still stuffed with Chinese food. And he pauses, chugs the fucking Corona. Tom and I are looking at this kid like, what the fuck?
It wasn't, like, it wouldn't have been that bad. I was just like, it's your first time meeting my parents. My parents don't really drink all that much. So they're already a little bit like they don't think alcohol's bad. But it just was like, dude, it's your first time meeting my parents. And you're the driver of the car. Like, don't you think that's a weird look for you to introduce yourself?
Well, his car was dead. He ain't going anywhere.
I know that, but I just think it's weird to be like, "Oh, hey, I was the guy whose car was broken down and you're drinking a beer." But whatever.
Oh, also from Julie's parents' perspective, they were excited to meet Julie's new boo because they were asking about me.
Yeah, so I had just gotten home that day on Thanksgiving break, and my parents were like, "So, is there anyone? Like, are you talking to anyone?" And I literally, hours before this happened, was like, "Oh, yeah, there's this new guy I've been talking to, and I really like him, and he's so nice and so friendly." And I think I specifically told them, like, one of the reasons why I liked you was
I was easy to talk to, right?
Yeah, and you did a good job of like introducing yourself when you first met me. So I was painting you to be this very like friendly, sociable guy. So, I mean, the first thing is that these guys had just stuffed themselves with Chinese as a way to stay warm. They walk into my house, my parents greet them, and they're like, "Oh, we made food for you."
God
guys.
bless Julie's dad. He's a chef. He knows how to cook.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Every time he cooks, 10 out of 10.
Both my parents are really good. My dad's definitely gotten into it a lot more. And my dad we host Thanksgiving. And my dad was trying a new method of cooking.
It was like the turkey, yeah.
So he got like a practice turkey the week before Thanksgiving. And so he had just made this practice turkey and was like, oh, perfect. I can make you guys like turkey sandwiches and stuff.
He brings out turkey sandwiches, mac and cheese.
So much food. And they were all so full.
So, like, I looked at this and I was disgustingly full. Like, Tom and I stuffed ourselves at Dollar General, we had a lot of snacks and then we had Chinese food. So I'm looking at my plate. I'm like, I can't tell this man I can't eat it. I have to eat it. Like, these are my girlfriend's parents. I have to eat this food. I have to shove it down my throat, whether I like it or not. So I start eating. I'm disgustingly full, like to the point where I think I'm going to throw up. And Julie's parents are talking to Tom and Fernando?
Yeah, so my parents were like, it was really cute. They were fine with me bringing people over, obviously, because you guys were kind of in a not great situation. They like clean the house and everything. Everyone comes over and they're like making conversation with, can you stop shoving the microphone in my mouth? Sherif's holding the microphone close and it just keeps getting closer and closer and closer to me. Anyways, my parents are like creating really nice conversation with Tom and Fernando and it's like not awkward at all. And Sherif is just sitting quietly in a corner next
by
to
the
me,
fireplace,
not speaking to anyone because he's so nervous. And the night kind of like starts to wrap up.
Well, we didn't spend the night. We like slept there for a couple hours,
Yeah.
but Fernando's sister was still on the way to come and pick us up.
She came at like 2 a.m. So
Yeah.
you guys slept maybe from like 10 to 2.
Yeah.
And then you got up and you left with her.
Yeah. So the next morning, go ahead.
The next morning, we all wake up and my parents were like, so like, Fernando, was he the one that was your boyfriend? He was so nice. And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, then it must have been Tom. Tom was super friendly. And I was like, no.
This is why I didn't want to come to her fucking house. You see this bullshit?
I was like, oh, it was actually Sherif. And my dad was like, you mean the guy that sat in the corner and didn't talk the whole time?
This is why I wanted to start it off with her parents love me.
Yeah, and things have gotten... I don't think things were ever bad. I think my parents were just like, oh, he was so quiet. But I explained that you were
I was in a food coma and I was nervous.
And you were tired and cold and full.
Yeah, I was in a food coma. So Fernando's sister comes, picks us up, like Julie said, I think 2 a.m, and we drive to where we need to be. Finally, we all get dropped off, and Julie was telling me that her parents thought I was silent as fuck, and I was like, shit, next time I come, I gotta be a menace and turn it the fuck up. But yeah, they love me now. God bless.
Oh my God, they love you so much. The text that went off my iPad was them texting our group chat, our family group chat that now includes Sherif.
You see them? You see the pull through?
Which is pretty cute. And they said that they have a job for you over Thanksgiving break.
Oh, God.
No, they just said they need help selling furniture on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Speaking of this, we're actually going into Thanksgiving soon. So at least while we're recording this.
Happy 4-year anniversary of you having a terrible first impression with my parents.
God bless. God bless. That's pretty much it. I would like to thank you all for listening to Session, and I love you. Goodbye.
Be rolling, I like it like this. No fucking science, 'cause I'm a whiz kid with. It's fire, fire. Bars at the galaxy up and down.